Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Mina. In this video I will be showing you how to make this knitted vest. So just a little backstory. I started seeing lots of vests on Instagram and Pinterest last year, and a lot of them were really cute, so I thought I would try to make my own. I didn't start with any pattern, I just kind of tried to make one. Here's my first attempt here, I'll show you on the screen. As you can see, it's kind of funny looking and it's way too small, but I got a good idea of the steps involved of how to make that basic vest shape. And then after that I made another vest, the blue vest. It ended up being a little bit bigger than I expected. So it's kind of like an oversized fit, but I was pretty happy with the shape of it. I didn't film myself making that one, but I did make notes of everything I did, so I'll put them in the description below for you if you want to check it out. And then finally I started filming myself making this green and orange vest, and it's a little bit smaller than the blue one, just for a more fitted fit, a smaller fit. Yeah, the reason I'm telling you all of this is because once I understood how to make that shape of the vest, it wasn't too difficult to make an adjustment for the size to make it smaller. So I think that if you want to make a vest that's using a different weight of yarn, or you want to make it a different size on yourself, I think you can follow these steps in this tutorial, and with a little bit of trial and error you can make your own pattern that suits you. So without any further ado, let's take a look at the overview of this pattern. Okay, so we are going to knit a front piece and a back piece from the bottom up. The bottom is made up of rib stitch, while the main body of the vest is made up of stockinette stitch. We are using an SSK decrease, short for slip slip knit, for all the left leaning decreases, and a knit two together decrease for all the right leaning decreases. To shape the neckline in the back, we will be doing a bias bind off. I wasn't super happy with this method, but more on that later. After both our pieces are done, we are going to join them together at the top and the sides using two seaming methods. Lastly, we will pick up stitches around both the armholes and neck and work some rows in rib stitch. Okay, so what do we need? I'll be using sports weight yarn. This is 100% wool in two colors. So this green is going to make up the body, and this orange is going to make up the ribbing. A pair of 4.5mm circular needles, either a tapestry needle or a crochet hook, a pair of scissors, and a measuring tape if you're going to make adjustments to this pattern. If you're just going to follow along exactly, then you don't need a measuring tape. Okay, let's get started. I knitted this gauge swatch to help me decide how many stitches to cast on. So 10 centimeters equals 20 stitches wide and 25 rows high. I measured a cardigan that is the kind of fit I want this vest to be, and it is 45 centimeters wide. So if 10 centimeters equals 20 stitches, then 1 centimeter equals 2 stitches, and 45 centimeters equals 90 stitches. If you are casting on a different number, just make sure it is divisible by 4, then add 2. Luckily for me, 90 already is. So I'm casting on using the long tail cast on method, but you can cast on however you like. So I'm going to cast on 90 stitches and I'll meet you there. So I've cast on my 90 stitches. And now I'm going to work in 2 times 2 rib stitch. So to do that, I'm just going to knit 2 stitches, then purl 2 stitches. And I'm just going to alternate 2 knits by 2 purls for the whole row. So we'll begin. So we start by knitting 2 stitches. And then we purl 2 stitches. Okay, then we knit 2 stitches. And then purl 2 stitches. We just continue knitting 2 and purling 2 until we reach the end of the row. Okay, so I'm up to my last 4 stitches here. I'm going to purl 2 and the last 2 stitches should be a knit 2. Okay. Alright, so now onto our second row. Alright, so for the second row, we've got 2 purls there. So we're gonna purl 2, then knit 2, then purl 2, then knit 2 across this row. Okay, so we're gonna start with 2 purls. So we're just gonna keep knitting in rib stitch for 22 rows. I've finished my 22 rows of rib stitch, and now I'm going to switch to my green yarn and start knitting in stockinette stitch. So I'm just going to make a loop with my green yarn and use it for my first stitch. and I'm going to knit across this row, then I'm going to purl across the next row, and I'm simply going to alternate knit rows and purl rows for 42 rows. So I'll meet you there. I've knit my 42 rows. It's curling a little bit, but that's fine because we join the pieces together, so that fixes that. And now I'm ready to shape the armholes. Okay, so we're gonna knit the first 2 stitches, and then we're gonna decrease by doing a slip, knit, decrease here. So we're gonna start each row by knitting 2 first, and that creates a border. It creates a nice edge basically, so that we're not decreasing on the very edge, and it's going to make it easier to pick up the stitches when we do the ribbing around the armhole. Okay, so I'm going to start by knitting these 2 stitches. Okay, and now we're going to do a decrease. So we're doing the slip, knit, which is really simple as the name implies. We slip a stitch, we slip another stitch, and then we insert the left hand needle into these 2 stitches that we just slipped, like that. And then we knit these 2 together through this back loop here. So we knit like that. Okay, and there we've just decreased it. You might be able to see already it's leaning left like this. It's leaning this direction. Can you see it? Okay, and then we knit across this row as usual. Right, so we're just approaching the end of this row, and we want to stop when we have 4 stitches remaining. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And the reason for that is because these 2 are going to make up that border to match the other side. So we're decreasing with these 2 here. So on this side, we need a right leaning decrease, right? Leaning like this. And that is the knit 2 together. So this one is really simple, as the name implies. You just insert your right needle into 2 stitches at the same time, as if it were 1 stitch, and then you just knit them at the same time. And then the last 2 you knit as usual. So if we take a look here, it's a little hard to tell, but this decrease is leaning in this direction. Okay, so now I'm going to turn my work around and purl across this row without doing any decreases. Okay. Okay, so I'm just finishing off this purl row. And I can show you one more time the decrease that we're making on the knit row. Okay, so we knit the first two. And now we're going to do the SSK decrease. So slip a stitch, slip another stitch, and then insert this left needle into these two stitches. Oops, there we go. Like that. And then knit through the back loop. Okay. And then knit across the row as usual. Alrighty, I'll meet you at the other end and we'll do the knit two together decrease together one more time. Okay, so we knit till we have 4 stitches remaining. And then we simply knit these two together. And there we can see a little bit now. It's starting to veer off to the left there. So we've done 3 rows so far. A knit row, a purl row, and a knit row. And we've decreased twice. So we just continue on in this manner until we have knit a total of 16 rows, which means we have decreased 8 stitches from each side. Okay, and I'll meet you there. Okay, so now I've decreased both sides and shaped the armholes. So that's 8 stitches decrease on both sides. So now we're going to work on the right strap. So this is going to be a V-neck, so we're going to transfer half of the stitches onto scrap yarn and then just work the other half of the stitches. So at the moment I have a total of 74 stitches, so I'm going to transfer 37 stitches onto the scrap yarn using a tapestry needle. Okay. So I've got my tapestry needle here and I've just attached some scrap yarn to it. And I'm just going to go along here until I've got my 37 stitches.
up this scrap yarn. And from here, I'm just going to work these stitches. So on the right side, we're not going to decrease anymore. We're just going to continue upwards in a straight line. And we're going to decrease the left side. We're going to decrease in the same fashion that we did when shaping the armholes. So we're going to decrease on every knit row. And because it is a left leaning decrease, we will be using the knit two together decrease. Okay, so we're going to knit across this row. So I'm going to knit until I have 4 stitches remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'm going to do the knit 2 together decrease. So insert my needle into those 2, knit them together, and knit these last 2 stitches. Okay, so we've done a decrease here already. There you go, you can see it a bit. And now I'm going to purl across this row. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing, knit across this row until 4 stitches remain, do the knit 2 together decrease, knit 2 more stitches, and then purl across the other side. And I'm going to continue doing this until my strap is the width that I want it to be. So I'll meet you there. Alrighty. Okay, so I've done my decreases for the right strap, and now I'm ready to bind off this strap. Okay, so if you want to make yours longer or shorter, that's fine. Just make sure you're up to a knit row when you want to bind off. Okay, get scissors. Alrighty, so that is our right side strap finished. Let's take a look at the whole thing. That's the armhole, that's the V-neck at the front. So now we're going to put our stitches onto the needles again. And we're going to repeat this whole process, except of course we're going to be doing a left leaning decrease on this side, but it's just a mirror of this basically. We're going to do that. Okay, so I have all my stitches on the needle, and from here we're going to get the end of the yarn and make a loop like this. And the first stitch we knit, we're going to loop this onto the needle. Like so. And then we're going to knit the second stitch. And then we're going to do our SSK decrease, the left leaning decrease. So I'm going to slip this stitch, slip the next stitch, insert the left needle into both these stitches and knit through the back loop. Like so. And then just knit across this row like usual. Okay, and then I'm going to purl the other side, and I'm going to make a SSK decrease on the knit row. I'm going to decrease a total of 18 stitches over 36 rows, and then knit 14 rows with no decrease and bind off, just like I did for the other side. So I'll meet you there. Okay, yay, we've completed the front. I bound off that left strap and it looks pretty good. The piece is curling a little bit, but that's fine, nothing to worry about. So next we just have to knit the back and join it together. This is my happy but exhausted face. Alrighty, so I'll see you in the next part. Bye!